Welcome back, Mark's Headroom. Wow, what a week. I had a huge emotional ride this week. You know, I followed the war and the shutdown and the posturing and the lies and who knows what a lie, what is really a lie anyway? I mean, do people begin with an end in mind and say, let's say this, but we're gonna do this anyway? I mean, who are we to say? Who are we to know? But anyway, it's all interesting stuff out there right now, from the Epstein stuff to the scandals that are running around the United States, and of course, where the real action is over in the Middle East, and where whole civilizations are being pulverized right now. And of course, everybody is on edge about what's happening in the Persian Gulf with all the oil that everybody needs so badly to fuel their lifestyles and their development plans. Being a little cynical here, but that's where I've been, and this is where I'm going. Is toward the, I just finished up a comedy skit, Mark's or Headroom Tonight. Hope you'll tune in on Saturday night, 7 o'clock on YouTube, and about that time on Substack. And I don't know, I may even roll it out on Facebook. I have recently had quite a following building on my my Facebook page called FutureWiseEnergy. And, I've got something to say. I've been through all these things in my life, and trying to fit into the various platforms and algorithms and the kind of the conformed spaces that we make for each other to get by and get accepted. And what I'm discovering is the algorithm is part of it's almost like a communist or a socialist, or everything that we in America, and maybe under an illusion of this freedom, this concept that we're trying to operate on theoretically, of justice and safety and fairness, which I think everyone has realized is a total illusion as we get into the transparency that we have now with all the technology and the media and the commentaries, both from professionals that do this for a living, for the platforms that give them their livelihood and pay for the expensive cameras and the equipment to broadcast and have their message reach you. So here I sit in Austin, Texas, on the north side near the Domain, speaking from a 5-day fast in my monk state of being, where just yesterday, earlier, about a little over 24 hours a day, I brought myself near the edge. I do that every week deliberately, and so I don't know if it's actually an act of surrender or if it's an act of self flagellation, if you will, to I try to pull myself back from that point of harm. But I found that these places, which I kind of didn't discover necessarily on my own, but which happened to me out of various circumstances I was in. People might call it a near-death experience or something dramatic, and I don't have any fancy stories about purple people carrying me away and doing things to me and then dropping me back into my body. But I do know what it's like to go to that edge and to feel almost this incredible state of awareness of separation from maybe the game, if you will, that we're all brought up to play. And it's interesting now because you can watch these kids that are 12 and 13 years old playing, inventing their own games. And they even look at what I'll just say is not really art. It's more like contrived narratives. They may call movies or sitcoms or episodics these days, but they all seem to have this point about leading people to be maybe better people or whatever. We've turned that medium into our religion or our leaders, our gurus, our fathers and mothers, which we all, well, I say we all, but so many people are outsourcing to surrogates these days so they can go make their living and enjoy the lifestyle in excess. There I go again. But listen to me, I'm in the middle. And I've found a way to withstand all this stuff. And what I'm trying to do is share from the places that I've been without tearing down those places. Look, if they're meant to stay, they'll stay. If they're meant to fall away at the appropriate time, they will. What I'm here to do is to try to reach people with the message of more like uniqueness. And it's something the algorithm will not promote because the algorithm is not smart enough or it doesn't have intelligence the way that that you and I actually have it. We have access to our full body of intelligence from our head to our toes, including our heart and our values and our primal nature and our cerebral thoughts. And getting trapped in one of those circuits may put you in an endless loop, make you crazy, or get you killed, depending on what era that you're living in, or today in what part of what culture and what tribe, what region of the world you're living in. So, making sense of all this, I've gotten some great feedback from people on TikTok, Facebook, and on YouTube in particular. For some reason, the stuff on X just doesn't come back to me. I put it out there and maybe I'm not provocative enough or polarized enough to provoke, that discussion, at least so I'm told. I don't even get a lot of comments on Substack, although I have a lot of publication material, both written and these videos that I put out on Substack. And I find Substack, kind of is a little more bookish, so to speak. So, the interaction that I find from Facebook and YouTube and TikTok is very satisfying to me. I'm speaking to a camera right now, and I'll go back and just do a once over on this and put it out there. I think I've started putting these Mark's Headroom out on Sunday morning and releasing Transcendent videos, which are more spiritually aligned, on Saturday mornings. And then Saturday night, the Headroom Tonight, the comedy comes out. And FutureWiseEnergy is dropping on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And, that seems to be where the majority of people are landing on my material. I've had some really good feedback and comments all across these 4 mediums that I'm using today. And I really appreciate those comments because I've been trying to find my groove. Where do you fit this content from a life lived like mine? And what I'm trying to do here is just open up and share things from a perspective that I believe is rather unusual. And there's no, I have a sense of pride, and my ego is invested in the experiences that I've had, the viewpoints that I share. I'm really entirely flexible on interpreting those. I'm not looking for followers in that sense, for people to agree with my view. In fact, sometimes it's very comforting to find people say, Mark, that's not how it is, because I'm not trying to pass on my views and my structure of thinking on others. In fact, life is a lot easier if I did not have this tension and this view and this calling, so to speak, this almost like a burden, it seems like sometimes, but it's not. Because when I do have a chance to deliver it, it makes all of that tension and all of those situations and circumstances that I found myself in, put myself in, chose to be in one way or another, it gives it a little more meaning because I wasn't necessarily there for me from the sense of the game that is commonly being played. It was more of a, hey, okay, well, let's try that and see what happens. And from my perspective, which I've somehow, developed early in life, not being totally identified with each circumstance, but more of an observer and also a conscientious member of that circumstance. Maybe not with the same level of identity and maybe with a sense of, I don't know, some people might call it superiority, but feeling like, look, I know I will survive this circumstance one way or another, and I don't want to be a burden on anyone else. I want to be responsible for myself, but ultimately I'm responsible to God and my calling and my fellow man and my universe and the strength that I do have to survive these circumstances does insulate me from some of the fears and that I've overcome and dealt with and faced and been totally wiped out at various points in my life. I'm talking about on my back, not knowing how I'm going to get up, with my whole emotional life disturbed to the point that I'm on the brink. And that wasn't of my deliberate intent, like my 5-day fast that I've been doing for probably over 5 years now, to take myself to the edge, to that state of extreme exercise and participating in life as fully as I can during those 5 days, and then refeeding for a couple of days, and then starting over again. Taking notes, finding that creativity and the chance to really, really tap into something that I feel is special and unique, and making my laboratory essentially open to you all through this medium that I publish weekly. So if there's any doubt about where I'm coming from, hopefully I've clarified it there. And it's the same guy talking from his research on energy and oil and gas and geopolitics and human behavior and survival and in FutureWise and Transcendent, the money and the spiritual. Man, you can't serve two masters. And my way of dealing is to participate with respect for my fellow man and where everyone is at, and trying to find the dignity for my own self-respect, to take my notes, do my research, and deliver my view. And I'm not looking for followers, so to speak, but I am looking for an audience, for people that may find themselves drawn to the kind of a vibe that I'm putting out there, that are attracted to the unusual and the not the spectacular, but the extraordinary, which we all are capable of. And so it's so muffled by the algorithm and by the conformity and these old rules that we're carrying forward from generation to generation to generation, repeating the same things and handing those to our children and our grandchildren, to the future generations. I mean, today we're dropping bombs and we're angering another several generations until such atrocities could be forgotten, of being forced into some type of conformity or life. So I'm doing some research now on communism, socialism, and some of the theories that have governed some constructs around bodies of people. And, we're so quick today to say, I'm a patriot, I'm an American, and let's protect our freedom. And yet, as I go around and I talk to people, I see people not really acting like they're free. I feel like, there's a narrative, and I'm trying to explore a way to communicate that, because I've been in these other cultures and I've seen people behaving in ways that we project upon them. It's just not true. People are not seeing each other and hearing and really feeling each other like they could. And so let me see what I can come up with on that. Thanks for bearing with me here and supporting even with a minute or 30 seconds of your viewing time. It makes a difference to me. So y'all have a great week. We'll see you next one.